Okay, all right. Thank you for hanging in there. A little late, as usual. Had a little technical difficulties reestablishing contact with one guest, and now we're ready to go. Today is what? I always have to look at the calendar. Who else is with me on this? It is Thursday, April 16th, episode number 28. 28 of these things already in the bag. Co-Video Live TV, welcome. We'd like to welcome you all in. Let me just take a quick look around and make sure that we're getting good audio. We've got live viewers, and our stream is rolling. Looks like the concurrent viewer count is just racking up. It's spinning like a what do you call it? Wheel of Fortune. All right, for the safety of my guests, I always do need to do a quick temporal scan. Make sure where we're at. 98.4, which makes sense. Running a little cool. Right before the show, I was out in the yard. If you're from Chicagoland or Northwest Indiana area, I was out in the yard making sure that our grass is cut. It was very long, so that the 5 inches of snow that are going to fall on it overnight look really beautiful in the morning, and we can make a clean snowman without a bunch of long pieces of grass getting rolled up in it. So that's where we're at around here. All right, welcome to episode 28. I don't really have much to talk about. We can talk about anything that's on my mind with our guest, first commenter, Mitch Smolin. He's got the inside track. He's got a direct wire into the studio, I think. Mitch Smolin says hello on YouTube. So, without further ado, let's bring in our first guest of the night. This is a guest that another one of my guests that I've been working for weeks to get a hold of. Lots of legal issues, and you understand why when you see who it is. Let's give a nice welcome to our first guest here. Ron, hit the button all the way. Bob Hawk, welcome to the show, Bob.
Thanks for having me, Ron. Good to see you.
Yeah. Bob is, if you don't know Bob works as an attorney, licensed in the state of Indiana, Illinois. Where else can you do your craft?
Indiana is where I'm limited to practice at the current time, Ron.
Okay, I wasn't sure. It's not because you haven't pursued. It wasn't these privileges weren't taken away from you, or you're not at liberty to talk about that.
No, everything's kosher in terms of my licenses.
All right. I'm glad you took that joke in stride. That was the main reason that I wanted to have you on, because you're one of the funnier people that I know. You know, who did I think of when I thought I got to run a show? I need entertaining people. Mike Harmon said, you got to get Hawk. Mm-hmm. We finally hammered out the details and worked out the schedules, and here you are. So how you living? You're calling in from what? Munster, Indiana, all right?
I am here in the homeland in Munster, Lake County, Indiana.
Mm-hmm. Any major shortages impacting living in Munster?
Shortages in terms of supplies. Well, I'm always curious in terms of what Disco Dawn has to say about the toilet paper supply over at the Jewel.
Yes, and I will be having her on again. We may squeeze her in tomorrow. Maybe we'll do a third guest in there, or we'll kick off the week next week with her and see how it's been going. Right, you shop at the Jewels in the Munster there?
I did before the pandemic. Now I leave that up to the wife. Send her and her in there with the mask and gloves to do the shop.
I've been the selected one to go. I don't know how that happened. My wife watches a lot of murder shows. She's gradually trying to get rid of me sooner or later.
I've been signing a lot of insurance policies and stuff myself recently.
Right. Hey, just a totally unrelated question. Do you think you've killed the COVID virus on your hands with hand sanitizer in this past month?
Do I think so?
Yeah.
I suspect I sort of have I guess, are you asking me whether or not I think I've actually come into contact with COVID-19?
I'm not questioning your, what's the word? Hypochondria. I'm just wondering, and or my mind, I'm just curious if it's around, how pervasive is it? Have you or I come in contact with it and successfully killed it off with the douse of hand sanitizer? Is it possible?
I don't know if that I'm completely confident in the hand sanitizer. I think we probably have come into contact with it at some point along the way here.
Yeah, well, we were talking a little bit earlier that obviously this area is not the area we're in Northwest Indiana, even Chicagoland to an extent. Well, definitely here in Northwest Indiana, Lake County, not been that hard hit. You know, I know one good friend who's in hospital, yeah, definitely suffering from the consequences of acquiring that. But beyond that one, not really. I mean, nor have you, right?
That's true. But, you know, now that you bring it up, it called to mind a couple of people that I bumped into at work that had unusually long illnesses that were sort of consistent with some of the symptoms of COVID-19. And at this point in time, part of me wonders whether or not it was an early case of it that they had that wasn't recognized at the time.
Yeah,
Uh,
was it back in June or something? Because I see a lot of people claiming that. It seems to be fashionable to think that they may have had it. I know there was a nasty flu bug going around, and my 91-year-old mom had it too, but she got through that. But a lot of people, the timing of it just doesn't seem to add up. You think it might be legit in some cases?
well, here's the thing that I'm thinking of is I know that there was someone I worked with in their 20s who had a flu that turned into pneumonia, was out of work for about a week.
Hmm.
And I remember thinking it was unusual that a person that age had such a substantial illness. And then the child of someone just down the hall had a very similar illness a week or so after that. And so the thought crossed my mind of whether or not that was an early contact, but anecdotal at best.
I know, anecdotal, but I have from the beginning of the show tried to get intelligent people on who are reasonable and intelligent and listen with grains of salt and as needed. There are thousands of places to get news, but what had you happened to hear today about potential for the virus coming from China, accidentally slipping out of a lab? Have you heard that one?
I have not heard anything about that. What's the news on that, Ron?
Oh, I don't know. They're saying it was a possibility, but it was something that is being investigated. Is that not that it was released intentionally, but it mistakenly released due to sloppy safety procedures at some sort of lab in the Wuhan area. But not conclusive, and who knows? Who knows? I'm not going to get into too deep into politics or out into that kind of stuff because it was out there. But nonetheless, let me switch gears real quick. You do work as a lawyer, right? Raise your right hand, and is it your right or left hand you raise when you take the oath?
Your right hand, Ron.
Your right hand, all right, right. Raise your right hand and swear that everything you say here is mostly true, and you will hold the host harmless. We talked a bit. You said that some of the stuff you've been working on has been COVID related. To the extent you're willing to talk about that, what have you got going on?
When we were talking earlier, I had mentioned the fact that some of the work that I do involves defense of workers' compensation cases, and one of the issues now is the claims being made by healthcare workers and other people that are working in public service positions, those individuals making claims for exposure and contracting COVID-19 at work. Mm-hmm. So that's it's an unusual emerging area because it's not really something that's been dealt in that context previously. So it's developing as we go.
Yeah, I imagine some of the issue with that is not knowing where. I mean, an employer saying you may have gotten it somewhere else, right? And it just wasn't here. That case or that idea kind of falters if you're working in a hospital, but there's still possibility you don't live there, right? Those kind of thoughts.
Absolutely. One of the hard parts is that it's a community-based illness, so it's possible for people to get it from a variety of areas. But obviously, there's certain employments that put you at increased risk of being exposed or contracting COVID-19. And typically, in cases of that nature, you require some sort of medical proof, a medical doctor to come in here, analyze the facts, the medicine, and provide an opinion as to whether more likely than not the injury occurred at work. Because of the emergence of it on such a swift basis, the limited resources, one of the things that's being discussed is trying to reduce some of those standards to allow people to get benefits without having to prove their case to the same extent as they would typically be required to do.
Which would only seem fair. Bob, I don't know if you can see the comments there on your monitor. Maura Hawk checking in. Hi, Bob. Great work here, she says. Positive words of encouragement from your wife.
That's surprising, but I'll take it.
Right. Also surprised. Speaking of surprising, in our conversation earlier, and I promised myself I wouldn't say that because it kind of shows you behind the curtain, but we do talk before the show. This isn't completely off the cuff, but you talked about, I thought you could sue your employer based on their potential putting you in harm's way. This is in general, not any specific cases. That your employer may not provide you with the protection you needed and you ended up contracting it, that you really don't have a case in Indiana, right? Is it Indiana?
Well, you have a case, but your case is limited to workers' comp, which is a limited recovery. You have a right to recover your, generally speaking, your medical expenses, 2/3 of your lost wages, and if you have permanency, you got a dollar amount for that. So you have a very limited recovery against your employer. You can't sue them in negligence or a personal injury suit where you can recover pain and suffering, or where you hear some of the larger verdicts.
Right. Because I have been, you're already seeing some advertising or solicitation to the extent that's allowed by law, I think, of people it's kicking that up. But I guess it doesn't, it's limited to workman's compensation claims, right?
Right. You may be seeing too some of the signs for nursing home cases, which are more of like elder abuse type cases. Those are the types of cases that those individuals are soliciting.
Ah, that would be for the residents or the families of residents, or in worst cases, the families of the survivors of someone who may have passed while there, right?
Right, right. I think there's like that one couple that has a billboard and they alternate between asbestos and nursing homes and various advertisements.
I don't want to get into the into attorney wars here. So the last thing I want, Bob, is a bunch of attorneys calling me up and emailing or sending me letters. All right, you're the only one that I want to talk to. That, and I guess my brother and my brother-in-law. I guess there are a few of them around, but I'm glad you could come on to the show. Hey, we mentioned trials going on. All the courts in Lake County are just shut down. I mean, there's we're not bringing witnesses, no trials going on at all, indefinitely, right?
Not indefinitely, but in line with the stay-at-home order. For the most part, and likely through the end of May, there's very limited court activity. They have skeleton crews at the court. All trials, hearings, motion work, stuff like that is, for the most part, at a halt on an emergency basis. They handle them either telephonically or in a very rare situation, they may bring people in to have a in-person hearing, in keeping in line with social distancing requirements, but that would be a very unusual circumstance. For all intents and purposes, the courts aren't operating in their, to the extent anything on an emergent basis has to be done, are handling those telephonically.
Right. Right. I had a telephonic follow-up visit with my son, telemedicine. We had a guest on, Dr. Hobbins was talking a little bit about that. You ever participated in telemedicine, telecalls at all?
No, I haven't. I found that guest very interesting because one of the benefits through my current employment is Teledoc, which he was referencing.
Mm-hmm.
And I can certainly see in the age of COVID-19 how that's a safer alternative than going into the doctor. But I am not very technologically proficient. So the one time I think we tried to use the Teledoc, we couldn't figure it out and just ended up going to the doctor.
Right.
And actually, my daughter had to go to the emergency room about a week ago, and we just took her right over to community.
Mm-hmm. Did you run into Kim Biggerstaff, one of our previous guests on the show? She works in the ER there.
I did not accompany her. Again, it was
one at a time, right? Wasn't it one person?
Well, I think my wife, Maura Durko, she went along with my daughter, and I don't know what the protocol was. I think they both had to get their temperature taken, and I'm pretty sure Maura was allowed in the room with her, but it was a they were distancing people from one another.
What I heard. I heard it was only one adult, even with kids, and only one person. You definitely had to have your temperature taken as well. All right, Bob, I know that we kept it kind of dry, kept it pretty professional. I told you it would go pretty quickly. But trust me, people, Bob is a very entertaining person, especially after a few beers. And so hopefully we can get together in person and have some laughs other than this forum here. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I'd welcome that opportunity, Ron.
Well, if it drags on, though, will we be able to give you a ring back?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. You figured out how to work the Skype?
Yep. Thanks to your helpful instructions, it was pretty painless and easy to get on.
Well, it's strange. The second time's always the hardest because people have been getting logged out. I don't know what people's experiences have been with that, but they get logged out. You got to go online. You got to get something texted to you. That's what happened with my next guest. But so I'm glad you figured it out.
Now I know how to Skype and also bet on horse racing online. So
right. I should get somebody from the casinos on. All right, Bob, thank you for joining us. I'm going to roll off your audio. Thanks again. Oh, anybody you want to say hello to before I knock you off?
Absolutely. My wife, Maura, my children, Finley and Kira and Bobby, and then my sister Heather in New York, and my mom.
Right. And I guess it's a little late to ask, but any books or films that you're, movies that you're promoting, you want to put a plug in for? Shows?
I watched at one of your guests' recommendation. I watched Mike Harmon's recommendation. I watched The Lighthouse. It was a entertaining movie. Maybe entertaining is not the right word, but it was well done and perfect for being for a pandemic setting.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Hats off to Mike, our musical director, composer of the music that we have at the beginning and end of the show. Bob, I'm going to roll you off here. Thanks again for joining us.
All right, thanks for having me, Ron.
Take care.
Take care.
All right, and there goes Bob. I'm going to roll up the logo and get our second guest on. Stand by. And we're back. Just like that, we're back. That was quick. We got our second guest on in the virtual green room. Maura Hawk was on the chat there. Max Load. Matt Sharp calling in. Max Load. Got it. And Harry Smolin, I see. Rescheduled. Fundraiser. All right. Thinking of the wrong person. Check out the chat. Subscribe to the channel. Sign up on YouTube and you can participate in this chat room. It seems to be overflowing with interesting comments tonight. Our second guest comes to us live. He's a repeat guest. Had him on. It was a lot of laughs. It was a good break in the middle of all this COVIDity. Let's give a nice COVIDio Live TV re-welcome to a good friend of the show, Brad Kleinschmidt. Hello, Brad.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, I saw on Skype before you come up there, just your initial show before the anticipation builds, and we finally get to see your face is BK. And I immediately think of the Burger King. If you were a Burger King sandwich, what would it be? The broiler? The Jumbo? What would you be?
I like the Whopper with cheese.
Gotcha. I've been going
but
Junior.
I kind of like the BK broiler, the whole tie-in of the BK and all.
Am I going too far back if I ask about the Jumbo?
The Jumbo?
Yeah, that was like a ham and cheese sandwich. Ham and cheese. The Jumbo, yeah. Or the Whaler.
I never heard of the Jumbo.
The Whaler?
The Whaler. I remember the Whaler.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't any whale meat at all, not intentionally.
I'd be willing to try it. What the heck?
Maybe they could bring it back. Maybe they could.
Yeah.
How you been living there since we last talked to you? I can't even. I think it was it might have been about a month. I don't know. I was trying to look through the Skype call log here. 3 weeks at least. How you been?
Yeah. I haven't eaten for a while, but
in more than 3 weeks though. I hope.
I'm joking. No, but I'm drinking okay. I got the nourishment, so I'm staying hydrated. No, it's the same old crazy,
Mm-hmm. I know. That's just about what I figured. Last time you were on, what happened? All hell broke loose there, right?
I know. It was a combination of you spoiling me in the virtual green room with Mitch's meats and cheeses, and just we got off on a rampant. I don't know what happened, but we just started talking about anything and everything, which was fine at the time. I mean, I feel like I'm in pretty good spirits. Anytime I could rap with the Ron Smolin on COVIDio, why not?
Live COVIDio Live TV. Don't forget it. Hey, have you cut your hair yet yourself?
No. It's horrible.
You're letting your freak flag fly? Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's the sides are like I gotta wear a hat. I mean, I do shower, I do wash my hair, but everything else is just an absolute mess.
Man.
And I'm scared to try to do it myself. That would be really bad. Who's your barber?
A secret location that she's in hiding, actually, in exile, and yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Not available. I got to cut really tight down to the Down to the scalp, nothing to really worry about. Hey, do you shop a lot on Amazon? You find yourself spending a lot on Amazon during this?
Not. I just recently. This is kind of weird. I held off. I was a stand up for the Amazon for the longest time. This past Christmas, I did almost. I think I did like 99% of my Christmas shopping on Amazon for the first time. I
Mhm.
don't think I really walked into a store, so that was the first year out of any of them, and a couple sprinkles here and there. But no, I haven't really been shopping too much.
Well, it was interesting because before the show, I had read something. I've seen it a lot on Facebook where a lot of people, let's say, sometimes wives are complaining or husbands are complaining about their wives spending a lot on Amazon. I found
Yeah.
myself buying a little bit here, a little bit there. We're getting familiar with our UPS and FedEx and Amazon drivers, but the CEO of, I forget, an executive at Amazon, and this was
Yeah.
documented, admitted that they are not trying as hard to get you to spend when you're on eliminating the recommendations, eliminating a lot of teasers that would get you to drop stuff into your cart to lower the
Oh,
load on the Amazon system to better protect their
oh,
workers
okay.
and to better have the system able to deliver more essential supplies. So
Interesting.
if you were to log in, it wouldn't say what would your recommendation be if you were to log in today, you think?
Meats, cheeses, probably
Organic spreads?
spandex,
Hmm.
and probably some sort of hypercolor shirts or something.
For color. Hey, have you been I know you used to wear them to the gym and work out.
Oh,
What have you been doing since your gym's been closed? What's your workout regimen now?
I tell you what, I have been working out at home because I go freaking mad if I didn't. But I'm doing push-ups and some. I got some weights here at home. I go on. Oh, you know what I do? I think you would find this interesting. I started what I call the old whiskey walk around sunset. So what I do is I bought a bottle of whiskey and I pour myself about 6 ounces of whiskey, and then I go for a 3 or 4 mile walk around sunset
Mm.
when it's nice outside, and I'll get a little cardio in and get a little buzz on the way back.
So the funny thing is that it comes out to closer to 2.5 miles, but if you add all the extra staggering steps in, it is closer to four. Then is that about right?
Or, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. For the for the most part, yes,
I,
yes. I'm the guy that every once in a while, I'll kind of like nonchalantly run into a telephone pole or whatever, but it's all good.
I
I mean,
thought
it's
of
all
you.
good.
I thought of you again earlier today. There was an article. It was like a four-sentence article. I don't know where it was going, but it caught me. Clickbait. A certain local police department was warning residents that they have to wear pants to go out and check their mail.
I saw that too.
Did you read it?
I did not read it. I saw it. I meant to scan back on it, but I do wear well, I wear pajama. I wear my pajama bottoms out to the old mailbox.
I think the point was there were people who were nothing. They were au
Ooh,
natural. There was nothing there.
wow.
Yeah.
Where's this at?
Yeah,
What, do you know what
it
county?
was a very weak story, purely clickbait. Next thing I knew, my screen went blue, and I had to give Bitcoin just to get the thing back. I don't know. Something happened. Something happened. Hey, what else has been going on there? You're tuning up. When you earlier you were tuning up your guitar? Were you planning to strum a song for our guests or no?
Yeah, I can do that.
You want to try something?
Sure.
You're
Why not?
surprising me. Let me just to get my fingers on the control knob here. Go ahead. I'm gonna dial mine back. Let it fly.
Should I play a song?
Yeah. Let's see what you got.
Okay. Wish I was enough. Wish I could find the air, but the only air I can breathe is standing with my toes in the sand. While the waves crash, never jumping into the sea. Rock-a-bye, baby, melody. Don't know if you want me to go or stay. Yeah. God sings a I ride in that wave, but I sink when I swim. But I sink when I swim.
Wow, wow.
There you
Well,
go.
well done. Well done. Is there a PayPal or Venmo or something you want? A virtual tip jar we should put out there for you?
No, that's all right. That was an original song. It's called "Fight the Sea," and it's on my last CD or EP,
Mhm.
but it's on iTunes and all that noise. So it's all my stuff's on iTunes and every digital platform. If people want to, or if you just want to listen to it, it's on my Reverb Nation site. So
You better give somebody give our audience a quick spelling of that last name, or they're going to spend an hour trying to figure it out.
oh yeah, what you want to do is if you go to reverbnation.com, reverbnation.com, all one word, and then it would /RBK music, and it will take you to the page.
Excellent. All right, Brad, I really appreciate you joining us. We were going to try and save that as a surprise, but you popped out the guitar. It went over well. The internet held up. I just read something from the CEO, another executive with Xfinity, Comcast, and he said that in the month of March, their downloads were up, but twice as much as many uploads. So a ton of people doing uploads, doing Skypes. The
Oh,
upload
yeah.
traffic has gone way up, faster than the download traffic had gone up with the gaming and the streaming of movies. So this kind of thing. Thank you for Comcast for supporting this broadcast. They're not a sponsor.
But
They're
we
just
love
part of
them
the
anyway.
backbone. Part of
They're
the backbone.
keeping us connected, right?
Yes, sir. Brad, anybody you want to say hello to before we cut you loose?
Mom, I love you. I think you're fantastic. You're a lovely lady. Thanks for keeping Dad safe. My dad's kind of a vulnerable candidate this time, so I appreciate her keeping him safe. And my granny, I don't know if she'll see this, but my granny, as I told you, she's in Michigan. She's 101.
Yep.
So if she gets wind of this one, Granny, keep on trucking.
All right, Brad. Well put. We'll talk to you soon, sometime again. You could be our first triple guest. How about that?
I love it.
All
Thank
right.
you, man.
Later.
Bye.
All right, and just like that, Brad is gone. There goes his audio. Okay, thanks for joining us tonight. We went a little bit over. Hope you enjoyed our little musical treat there. Maybe we'll start bringing a little bit of that on as we progress. Got a returning guest and then two returning guests coming on tomorrow. One with a little bit of a different angle and another follow-up visit with somebody from a distant location. Episode 28 is wrapping up now. Tune in tomorrow right back here. Co-Video Live TV, episode 28 kicks off at 8 p.m., 8:02, 8:03 Central Time, Central Daylight Time. What did I want to add? Oh, our email, if you want to send us something, in words of encouragement, whatever. covideolivetv@gmail.com. That's covideolivetv@gmail.com. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody. Be safe. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow for episode 29.